Close your eyes for a moment and step into the awareness that time is nothing but an illusion. The only moment that exists is now, and within this moment lies the power to reshape your reality in an instant. You have been taught to beg, to wait, to believe that miracles are rare events granted only to the worthy. But I tell you, miracles are natural. They are the effortless unfolding of the unseen into the seen, the transition of imagination into reality. Do you wish for a miracle within 24 hours? Then let go of effort and step into the knowing that it is already yours. There is no waiting, no hoping, no doubting, only the certainty that what you have claimed is now a fact. You do not need to struggle. You do not need to plead. You only need to assume. The moment you declare it as done and accept it fully within your mind, you set forces into motion beyond what the physical eye can perceive. The key is feeling. How would you feel if the miracle had already arrived? Would you be relieved? Would you feel peace, joy, excitement? Step into that feeling now, as if there is no other possibility. Hold on to it, embody it, and let it become your state of being. Time bends to the one who knows that time does not exist. The moment you claim something is yours, it must appear. Not because you forced it, but because reality has no choice but to reflect your assumption. Go forth, knowing your miracle has already arrived. Wake up tomorrow with certainty in your heart. Watch as the impossible bends before you, as the unseen becomes visible. Miracles are not distant. They are here now, waiting for you to accept them. And in 24 hours, you will see what was always meant to be yours. What you assume to be true with unwavering conviction becomes your reality. The moment you accept it as done, the universe rearranges itself accordingly. This is not philosophy, nor is it mere optimism. It is the fundamental principle by which your world takes shape. The unseen force that governs all things does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to the convictions of your heart. Every experience you have ever had was first accepted as a possibility within your mind before it appeared in your life. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you assumed it to be real, and so it became. The truth is, you are always assuming something, always shaping your future with the silent beliefs you hold. Some assume misfortune, scarcity, and struggle, and so their world reflects those assumptions with precision. Others assume success, love, and abundance, and reality bends accordingly. The speed at which your assumptions manifest is determined not by external conditions, but by the depth of your certainty. The moment you embrace something as true, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as an undeniable fact, the unseen forces immediately set events in motion to bring it into visibility. There is no delay except in your own wavering. It is only when you second guess, when you allow doubt to creep in, that you prolong the process. Understand that the universe does not work through resistance or struggle. It works through alignment. You do not need to fight for what is already yours. You do not need to chase what you already possess within. The moment you declare something as yours in absolute faith, reality has no choice but to mirror that conviction. This is not magic, nor is it coincidence. It is law. When you assume something with certainty, everything around you begins to shift, even in ways you cannot yet perceive. People, circumstances, and events are all moved like pieces on a chessboard to align with your assumption. You may not see the full picture immediately, but that is irrelevant. The moment you accept it as done, the process has already begun. Look at the world around you. Everything that now exists, from the simplest objects to the grandest achievements, was once just an assumption in someone's mind. The device you are using to read this, the buildings that surround you, even the relationships in your life, all were formed first in the unseen before they took shape in the physical. Nothing exists that was not first assumed into being. So how do you apply this? How do you take command of this principle and use it deliberately, rather than letting unconscious assumptions shape your life by default? You begin by choosing your assumptions with intention. Instead of assuming difficulty, assume ease. Instead of assuming failure, assume success. Assume that what you desire is not something far off in the future, not something you must struggle for, but something that is already yours. Assume it fully, deeply, completely, with no room for contradiction. Once you do this, you must live in that assumption. This does not mean forcing external actions, but aligning your inner world with the truth you have declared. You must think, feel, and act as if it were already so. If you have assumed wealth, you do not allow thoughts of lack to dominate your mind. If you have assumed love, you do not entertain fears of loneliness. You persist in your assumption until reality conforms. Some will ask, but what if nothing happens? What if I assume and nothing changes? To this I say, your assumption is not real to you yet. If you truly assumed it, you would not question it. A person does not look at the sky and wonder if the sun exists. It is a certainty. When your assumption reaches this level of conviction, when there is no space for doubt, it must manifest. This is why so many fail. They assume only half-heartedly, allowing the evidence of their senses to dictate what they believe. But the senses only reflect past assumptions. They are not indicators of what is possible. The only way to create change is to assume beyond what your eyes see, beyond what your circumstances suggest. You must hold to the unseen truth until it becomes visible. The process is immediate, but the appearance of results depends on the steadiness of your conviction. For some, change happens in an instant because they allow no contradiction in their mind. For others, it takes time because they waver, shifting between belief and doubt, certainty and hesitation. The only thing that determines how fast your world changes is how completely you accept the new reality. There is nothing outside of you shaping your world. It is your assumptions, and your assumptions alone, that create your reality. Accept this fully, and you will see just how immediate the law truly is. Do not wait for proof. Feel the reality of your desire now as if it has already happened. This is the secret that bridges the gap between the unseen and the seen, the intangible and the tangible. Your feelings are not mere responses to circumstances. They are the architects of your reality. What you feel deeply and persistently becomes the very foundation upon which your world is built. Most people wait for evidence before they allow themselves to believe. They look to the outside world for confirmation, seeking signs, waiting for things to change before they permit themselves to feel the joy, relief, or excitement of having their desire. But this is the opposite of creation. Reality is not something you react to, it is something you generate from within. If you wait for proof, you will be waiting forever, because the world outside of you is only a reflection of what you accept as true inside. To live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to step into the state of being where your desire is already a fact. It is not about daydreaming or pretending, it is about knowing. It is about assuming the inner posture of someone who already possesses what they seek. When you can do this fully and completely, without contradiction, reality has no choice but to conform. When you remember a past experience vividly, you can summon the emotions you felt in that moment, even if the event itself is long gone. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to the dominant feeling. If this is true of the past, it is equally true of the future. You can choose to feel right now the emotions of a future that has not yet appeared, and in doing so, you call it forth into existence. Imagine for a moment that the thing you desire most has already been given to you. How would you feel? Would you be at peace? Would you be elated? Would you feel a sense of security, gratitude, or fulfillment? Capture that feeling and let it take root within you. Let it settle into your being as your new natural state. The more you occupy this state, the more real it becomes, until it is no longer a mere idea, but an inevitable reality. Many people approach this principle with doubt, thinking, how can I feel something that isn't real yet? But that is the very misunderstanding that keeps them trapped. The only reason something is not yet real to you is because you have not fully accepted it within. Once you do, the world must rearrange itself to match your new state. This is not wishful thinking or self-deception. It is the precise mechanism by which all change occurs. Think of the person who is constantly worried about failure. They do not wait for failure to occur before they feel anxious. They feel it in advance, expecting it, assuming it, embodying it. And what happens? Their reality reflects their assumption. The same principle applies in reverse. When you assume the feeling of success, of love, of wealth, of health, whatever it is you desire, you set the stage for its manifestation. The external world is nothing more than a mirror. It can only reflect what is established within. This is why it is essential to persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when the senses suggest otherwise. The greatest mistake people make is allowing what they see to dictate what they believe. But what they see is merely the outpicturing of past beliefs, past assumptions, past states of being. If you continue to react to your current reality, you will only recreate the same conditions over and over again. The only way to break free is to step into a new state of being before there is any visible reason to do so. Some may ask, but how long must I hold this feeling? The answer is simple: until it becomes natural. Until it feels more real than your current circumstances. Until there is no longer any question in your mind. The moment it feels absolute within you, it will begin to solidify externally. Time is irrelevant. It could take days, hours, or even moments, depending on the depth of your conviction. There is no effort in this process. You do not need to strain or force yourself to believe. You only need to relax into the feeling. Let it wash over you as if you are sinking into a warm, familiar place. Play with the idea of your fulfilled desire as a child would, without resistance, without questioning. Make it real to yourself in imagination, and soon it will be real to you in experience. At every moment you have a choice. You can continue to dwell in the state of lack, of waiting, of hoping, which only reinforces the absence of your desire, or you can choose to dwell in the state of fulfillment, knowing that the mere act of assuming it brings it to life. The choice is always yours. So do not wait. Feel the reality of your desire now. Let the emotions of already having it fill you completely. Trust that what you have assumed is already set in motion, and know that the world will bend to meet your new state of being. The bridge between the unseen and the seen is not effort, it is feeling. And the moment you step fully into that feeling, your reality will begin to shift. The world you experience is only a reflection of your inner consciousness. Everything you see, touch, and interact with is shaped by the state of mind you dwell in. Your external reality is not separate from you. It is a mirror that reveals what you have been imagining, feeling, and assuming to be true. Imagination is the most powerful tool you possess. It is not a fleeting daydream or a meaningless escape from reality. It is the very force that brings reality into existence. The life you are living today was first conceived in your imagination, whether consciously or unconsciously. Every experience, every encounter, every condition surrounding you now is the result of thoughts and images you have entertained within yourself. The question is not whether imagination works. It always does. The real question is whether you are using it intentionally to create what you desire, or carelessly allowing it to create what you fear. To transform your life, you must first transform your inner world. You must deliberately and vividly imagine your desire as if it were already yours. This is not wishful thinking. It is the mechanism by which all change occurs. The moment you accept an imagined scene as real, your subconscious mind takes it as a command, and the world begins to move in accordance with it. When you imagine, engage all your senses. Do not merely see your desire as an image in your mind. Step into it, feel it, hear the sounds around you, touch the textures, inhale the scents. If you desire a beautiful home, do not just see its exterior. Walk through its rooms in your imagination. Feel the smoothness of the walls as you run your hand along them. Listen to the echo of your footsteps on the floor. Smell the fresh flowers arranged on the table. The more vividly you engage your senses, the more real it becomes to your subconscious, and the more quickly it manifests in your reality. You must allow your imagined scene to saturate your being. It is not enough to visualize it once and then return to old patterns of doubt and disbelief. You must dwell in it. Return to it. Make it a place you visit so often in your mind that it becomes more familiar to you than your present circumstances. When you persist in this state, your outer world has no choice but to conform. Many people believe they are trapped by their circumstances, but this is only because they have accepted their current reality as the ultimate truth. They have forgotten that their world is nothing more than a projection of their inner consciousness. If you change the inner picture, the outer world must reflect it. It may appear that circumstances change on their own, but in truth, nothing happens by accident. Every shift in your reality begins with a shift in your imagination. Doubt is the greatest enemy of creation. The moment you allow uncertainty to enter, you disrupt the process. You may imagine your desire with great clarity, but if you immediately follow it with thoughts of fear, hesitation, or disbelief, you counteract your own creation. This is why you must guard your imagination and refuse to entertain anything that contradicts your wish fulfilled. Consider the nature of a dream. When you are dreaming, everything feels real. You do not question whether the dream is happening, you experience it fully. Your emotions in the dream are genuine and your reactions are natural. It is only upon waking that you realize it was a dream. But what if this waking life is no different? What if the things you call real are simply persistent dreams brought into being by the power of imagination? Once you grasp this truth, you will see that you are not bound by any condition. You are free to create anew at any moment. The great secret is that imagination does not follow reality. Reality follows imagination. You do not need to wait for circumstances to change before you feel the joy, peace, or confidence of having your desire. You must feel it first, and then reality will shift to match that feeling. Most people live in reaction to the world, allowing external conditions to dictate how they feel. But the awakened soul understands that feelings come first, and the world arranges itself accordingly. This is why it is essential to imagine only what you wish to experience. Do not waste time dwelling on what you fear, resent, or regret, for these too will become real if you give them your attention. Instead, direct your imagination toward beauty, abundance, love, and fulfillment. Assume that all you desire is already yours, and let that assumption shape your thoughts, emotions, and actions. The power is within you now. You do not need permission from anyone, nor do you need to wait for the perfect moment. The only thing required is a decision. To live as though your wish is already fulfilled. Imagine boldly, persist in the feeling, and trust that the world will rearrange itself to reflect your new state of being. This is the law. This is the way creation works. The only limit is the one you place upon yourself. Miracles do not follow logic, nor do they adhere to the rigid timelines of the rational mind. They are not bound by what seems possible or probable, nor do they require step-by-step explanations. They arrive in ways that the intellect cannot predict, through channels that were never foreseen, and yet they appear with absolute certainty when one surrenders the need to control the process and trusts that the unseen forces are at work. The greatest obstacle to receiving a miracle is the obsession with how and when it will come. The mind, conditioned by years of limitation, seeks to control every detail, demanding a clear, structured path before it can believe. It asks, how will this happen? Where will the opportunity come from? Who will make it possible? How long will it take? In doing so, it strangles the very flow of divine intelligence, reducing the infinite into something that must fit within human understanding. But miracles are not bound by human comprehension. They do not require evidence before they can unfold. They operate beyond the rules of cause and effect, emerging from the vast unseen realm where all possibilities exist. Detachment is the key. When you release your grip on the details, when you stop trying to manipulate circumstances or force outcomes, you create space for the miraculous. You step into the effortless flow of creation, where things align in ways that defy explanation. To detach is not to be indifferent. It is to hold your desire in absolute faith, knowing that it is already done, while refusing to worry about how it will be accomplished. It is a shift from striving to allowing, from effort to ease, from resistance to trust. Consider the way a farmer plants a seed. He does not dig it up every day to check whether it is growing. He does not demand to know the exact moment the sprout will break through the soil. He understands that the process is already in motion, that unseen forces are at work beneath the surface, orchestrating what he cannot see. His role is not to control the growth, but to trust in it. And so it is with your desires. They have already been planted in the unseen realm. Your only task is to trust that they are unfolding, even when nothing appears to be happening. Many struggle with this because they have been conditioned to believe that control is power. They believe that unless they force things to happen, they will never come to pass. But true power is not in force, it is in alignment. The moment you align with the reality of your desire, feeling it as already accomplished, you set in motion forces far greater than human effort. This is why those who try the hardest often struggle the most. They are attempting to create through force rather than surrendering to the effortless intelligence of creation. The mind fears surrender because it mistakes it for passivity. It believes that if it does not constantly do something, nothing will happen. But surrender is not inaction. It is the highest form of action. It is an action of faith, of stepping into the unseen and trusting that the bridge will appear. It is knowing deep within that what you have asked for is already yours, even if there is no physical proof. And when you hold to this knowing, reality bends to match your assumption. This is the path of least resistance, the way of effortless manifestation. When you trust in the unseen, you free yourself from struggle. You no longer wake up with anxiety, wondering if today will be the day your miracle arrives. Instead, you move through life with a quiet certainty that it must come because it already exists. You no longer search for signs because you no longer need them. You simply live in the conviction that all is unfolding perfectly. And when you do this, the miraculous occurs, not because you forced it, but because you finally allowed it. The paradox is this: the less you chase, the more effortlessly things come to you. When you release the need to know, the answers appear. When you stop trying to control the timing, events unfold with perfect precision. When you cease asking how, the how is revealed. But this can only happen when you let go. Some of the greatest manifestations occur in moments of absolute surrender. There are those who, after exhausting every effort, finally throw their hands up in surrender, declaring, "I don't know how, I don't know when, but I trust it will happen." And in that very moment, the miracle arrives. Not because they worked harder, but because they released resistance. They stepped out of the way and allowed the unseen forces to do what they were always meant to do. Half asleep in memory, memories obvious to you, half awake, and yet this is the great secret. Your miracle is already prepared for you. It exists in the unseen, waiting for you to align with it. But it cannot reach you while you are gripped with worry, doubt, and the desperate need to control every step. It can only enter when you create space for it, when you relax, trust, and detach from the process. Let go of the how and when and simply know that it is done. Walk in the joy of its fulfillment before you see any evidence. Feel the relief of already having received it. Live in that certainty. And then, when you least expect it, in a way you never could have predicted, the miracle will unfold before you. Gratitude is the bridge between what is unseen and what becomes tangible. It is the key that unlocks the door to miracles, the frequency that aligns you with all that you desire. The moment you express gratitude, not as a hope, but as a certainty, as if what you seek is already yours, you shift your entire reality. You no longer wait for proof. You no longer question whether it is coming. You live in the end in the feeling of already having received, and by doing so, you accelerate the manifestation of your desires. The mind, conditioned by the external world, often waits for evidence before expressing gratitude. It has been taught that thanks should be given after something happens, as a response to receiving. But in the realm of creation, gratitude is not a reaction, it is a cause. When you give thanks before the physical proof arrives, you signal to the unseen forces that you already possess that which you desire. You are not asking, you are acknowledging, you are aligning. And in this state of alignment, the invisible becomes visible with remarkable speed. Consider for a moment the energy of lack and the energy of abundance. When you long for something, when you feel its absence, You vibrate at the frequency of not having. You send a message to the universe that your desire is separate from you, that it is distant, and in doing so you create more separation. But when you step into gratitude, true, deep, unwavering gratitude, you embody the energy of already having received. You move from waiting to knowing, from seeking to being. Gratitude is not mere words. It is a state of consciousness. It is not simply saying, I am grateful, but feeling that gratitude so profoundly that it floods your entire being. When you wake up in the morning, do you feel the joy of knowing your miracle is already yours? Do you move through the day as someone who has already received? This is the secret. The more you cultivate this feeling, the faster your reality shifts to match it. The universe responds to your dominant state of being, not your fleeting thoughts. If you desire something but constantly dwell in doubt, fear, or impatience, you delay its arrival. But if you immerse yourself in gratitude, as if what you want has already materialized, you magnetize it to you with effortless ease. You create a vibrational match between your inner world and the external reality that must follow. Think of a time in your life when something unexpectedly worked out for you. Perhaps it was a situation where you let go of resistance and simply trusted. Perhaps it was a moment when you felt deep appreciation for what you had, and then, almost magically, more arrived. This is not coincidence. This is the power of gratitude in motion. The more you focus on what you already have, the more the universe expands it. The more you express appreciation, the more reasons you are given to appreciate. Many people believe they must struggle for their desires, that they must fight against obstacles and prove themselves worthy before they can receive. But what if the only thing standing between you and your miracle is your ability to recognize that it is already here? What if instead of effort and struggle, all that was required was a shift in perception? To see through the illusion of lack and into the reality of abundance. Gratitude dissolves fear. It silences doubt. It dismantles the illusions of the mind that say, it's not here yet, and replaces them with the truth, it is already done. The moment you embrace this, the moment you live in the feeling of already having received, the universe must respond in kind. It is law. It is absolute. This is why those who are deeply grateful seem to receive more and more in life. It is not because they are lucky, it is because they understand the nature of reality. They know that gratitude is the fastest way to shift into the state of having, and so they remain in that state. They do not wait for evidence. They create it through their inner world first. If you desire a miracle, begin now, this very moment, to give thanks for it as if it has already arrived. Feel the relief, the joy, the excitement of knowing that it is done. See yourself as the person who has already received. Move through your day with that energy, that confidence, that deep inner peace. And watch as your world transforms to reflect it. There is nothing to chase, nothing to force. Simply align with the vibration of already having received and let gratitude accelerate what is already making its way to you. The unseen forces are at work. Your only task is to step into the certainty of their fulfillment, and in doing so you open the floodgates to miracles beyond anything you can imagine. Faith is the force that overrides time. It is not bound by logic, nor does it obey the rules of the physical world. The moment you step into absolute certainty, time bends, collapses, and rearranges itself in accordance with your belief. When you know, not wish, not hope, but know, that what you desire is already yours, the universe has no choice but to reflect that truth. The speed at which your manifestation arrives is not determined by external conditions, but by the level of your conviction. Most people believe time is linear, that things must unfold step by step through a process that takes days, weeks, or even years. But faith does not operate on a timeline. It does not ask how long something will take. It does not analyze whether something is possible. Faith declares that it is already done, and in that declaration, time loses its hold. A miracle that seems like it should take years can happen in a single moment. A door that was firmly shut can swing open without warning. The moment you remove doubt, the delay disappears. Doubt is the only thing that stretches time. When you question, when you wonder if it will happen, when you analyze how it might come to pass, you keep yourself in the waiting state. You push the manifestation into the future because your energy is still entangled with uncertainty. But when you stand in the conviction that it is already yours, you eliminate the gap between desire and fulfillment. You no longer see your goal as something far away, you see it as present, here, now. And reality must adjust to match your certainty. This is why those who have unwavering faith experience instant results. It is not that they are more deserving, nor that they are lucky. It is that they have mastered the art of knowing. They do not entertain opposing thoughts. They do not waver between belief and doubt. They decide, and that decision is final. They walk through life with the confidence of someone who already possesses what they desire. They do not question when it will come, because to them it already has. And because their mind holds no contradiction, the universe delivers without resistance. Faith does not ask for signs. It does not beg for reassurance. It moves with certainty even in the absence of proof. And paradoxically, this very certainty creates the proof. The person who knows they are wealthy carries themselves differently, makes decisions differently, moves through life with a presence that attracts abundance effortlessly. The person who knows they are loved exudes an energy that draws love to them. The person who knows they are successful embodies success before the world can recognize it. And because they embody it, it must manifest. Most people misunderstand faith. They think it means believing despite evidence to the contrary. But true faith does not see obstacles. It does not recognize barriers. It does not acknowledge lack, because to do so would be to accept the illusion that something is missing. True faith exists in the end in the state of already having received. It is a refusal to accept anything less than the desired reality. This is why some manifestations happen instantly. Have you ever thought of someone and they suddenly call or message you? Have you ever needed something and it appeared effortlessly? These are glimpses of how reality bends to your belief when no resistance is present. In those moments you were not doubting, you were not wondering how it would happen, you simply expected and it arrived. Imagine if you lived in that state all the time. Imagine if every desire was met with that level of certainty. You would move through life as a creator, not a seeker. You would command reality, not chase it. Time is only a factor when doubt exists. The stronger the doubt, the longer the delay. But faith, pure and unwavering, collapses time. It eliminates the waiting. It removes the need for effort. It transforms manifestation from something that happens in the future to something that is now. The moment you decide that it is done, it is. This is the key. Decide and do not waver. Do not check for signs. Do not measure progress. Do not concern yourself with how or when. Simply know. Walk as if it has already happened. Feel the certainty in your bones. Let your actions, your words, your thoughts align with the truth that what you desire is already here. And when you do this, when your faith is absolute, time will bend in your favor. The impossible will become possible. The distant will become immediate. And what once seemed out of reach will appear. Sometimes in the blink of an eye. Everything you seek is already within you, waiting for you to claim it. The moment you shift from wanting to knowing, from wishing to expecting, reality has no choice but to conform. Time, logic, and circumstances do not matter. Only your certainty does. When you assume the end, live in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and surrender the how and when, miracles unfold effortlessly. Your imagination shapes your world. Gratitude accelerates your manifestations, and unwavering faith collapses time. There is no need to struggle, no need to chase, only the need to become the version of yourself who already has what you desire. So, decide. Walk in the knowing that it is already yours. Trust in the unseen forces that are working in your favor. Release doubt, embrace certainty, and watch as reality bends to your belief. The world you desire is not in the future. It is here now, waiting for you to claim it. Thank you.